Commander Scarvax of the Zarketh Third Fleet had never heard a human laugh before. He was starting to think it was a war crime. The sound came from the center of his command deck, where Lieutenant Commander Tessa Briggs stood cuffed, mud-streaked, chewing a protein bar like she owned the damn ship. She'd been captured 30 minutes ago after single-handedly wiping out 4 Zarketh ground units, 2 skimmer squads, and, somehow, the Admiral's ceremonial koi pond. Scarvax watched her, multiple eyes twitching as she licked peanut, butter off her thumb, and looked around the bridge like she was trying to find the Yelp rating. "This the fancy part of your ship?" she asked, glancing at the gaudy, glowing tentacle sculpture hanging from the ceiling. "Because I gotta say, I've seen more intimidating vibes in a dentist's waiting room." The Zarketh officers bristled. Scarvax leaned forward, his translator gurgling ominously. "You are defeated, human. You will reveal your species. Defense protocols or what?" Tessa interrupted, still chewing. "You gonna read me your mission statement again? Because honestly, it's not hitting." Behind her, a small explosion bloomed on the external sensors. The bridge lights flickered. "What was that?" demanded Scarvax. Tessa raised a hand casually. "Oh, that? That's the internal sabotage protocol. See, while you were monologuing, my gear synced with your systems. Your AI now thinks it's a Sudoku-playing toaster." The room went silent. Somewhere, a console displayed. Zarketh AI. Processing. 7, 3, Sanseng, 5, 9. "Impossible," growled Scarvax. Tessa smiled like a shark who'd just found a pool full of tuna. "Oh, and FYI, I've got your fleet's login credentials. I love Conquest 4-2, really? Very on brand. I changed it. It's now, you just got down 69. Also, might want to check your Admiralty's biometric access codes. I've got 3 of their ID tendrils in a Ziploc. Want a look?" She pulled out a labeled bag from her suit pouch. Several officers recoiled. One fainted. Scarvax, vibrating with impotent rage, slammed a tentacle onto the console. "What do you want?" Tessa took another bite, talking with her mouth full. "Oh, you know, the usual. Surrender, treaty, me giving a press conference. About your encryption failures. You handing over your flagship's drink dispenser. Do you guys have iced coffee up here? Or is that still considered a war crime?" Another tremor rocked the bridge. This time, a cascade of alerts filled the main screen. Zarketh fleet assets were leaving orbit, firing on each other, playing jazz. "Looks like the fleet's AI has entered what we call existential freestyle mode. They're improvising war now. Should make for great reality TV." "You're bluffing," Scarvax hissed, eyes wide. Tessa tapped a button on her wrist comm. The lights dimmed. A hologram popped up beside her, a looping security feed of Scarvax's quarters. His prized statue of Emperor Zulgar had been converted into a plant stand, complete with a potted earth succulent and a sticky note that read, "IP in your hierarchy." "This," she said, voice dry as a desert at noon, "is what happens when you try to conquer a planet whose idea of a diplomatic envoy is a Navy SEAL with boredom issues and a caffeine deficiency." The main view screen crackled. Admiral Mayra Vex appeared, flanked by Earth tactical officers sipping smoothies. "Commander Scarvax," she said, her voice like polished ice, "Earth has reviewed your invasion. We find it lacking. Please see attached peace proposal and coupon for 1 free lesson in humility. Terms include full withdrawal, public apology and reparations payable in alien tech, specifically your cloaking drives. We'll be duct taping them to our minivans." Scarvax opened his mouth to object. Tessa was already halfway through another protein bar. "Heads up," she muttered, glancing at the corner screen. "Your backup plan just tried to call for reinforcements. We intercepted it and replaced the signal with a loop of your fleet's admiral trying to pronounce sarcasm. Your empire's about to go viral, by the way. Galactic net's eating this up." Scarvax slumped into his command chair as Tessa walked forward, uncuffed herself with a flick of the wrist, and calmly commandeered the console, feet up. "So," she said brightly, "shall we talk terms now, or wait until your fleet finishes painting peace signs on each other's hulls? The bridge crew stared in horrified silence. One brave officer leaned over and whispered, "What? What is she?" Scarvax exhaled, tentacles drooping, voice hollow. "She is the end of conquest." And somewhere, Earth's tactical AI sent another polite follow-up. Subject, just circling back on that surrender. Commander Scarvax hadn't spoken in 2 hours. Not since Tessa Briggs hijacked his bridge, reprogrammed his fleet's AI to broadcast cooking tutorials, and replaced all Zarketh command icons with animated GIFs of Earth raccoons flipping the double bird. Meanwhile, Tessa sat in his chair, her boots resting where his sacred command tendril should have coiled, and casually scrolled through the Zarketh Dominion's top-secret strategy files on a battered Earth-issued tablet covered in duct tape and motivational stickers. "So, about this unbreakable encryption," she drawled, tapping her screen while a Zarketh officer in ceremonial beads whimpered quietly in the corner. "You guys really thought Elav Conquest 42 was secure? You do know Earth invented password shaming, right? We literally have memes for this." She flicked the screen toward the main viewer, revealing the full schematics of the Zarketh fleet, routes, overrides, fuel reserves, even Commander Glarnix's embarrassingly high self-diagnosed testosterone index. "Also, I should mention," she added, holding up a small vacuum-sealed pouch with the word souvenirs scribbled on it. "These are the authentication tendrils of Admirals Corlin, Yeth, and Flax. Don't worry, they didn't need them anymore after I explained the concept of airlocks and sarcasm." A nearby Zarketh officer gagged. "It was clean," she reassured him, smiling. "Earth's very big on sanitation." Just then, Admiral Mayra Vex's face reappeared on the comm, sipping something that looked suspiciously like a martini. "Briggs, please remember this is still a diplomatic mission." Tessa gave a mock salute with the pouch of tendrils. "Copy that, Admiral. Diplomacy is proceeding with full flavor." The Admiral's lip twitched. "Status? Fleet's AI is now using your cookbook. Their missiles have been reprogrammed to play Nickelback, and their ships are spinning in synchronized interpretive ballet formations that I choreographed, while bored." "Excellent," Vex replied. "Time for Phase 2. Send them the memo." Tessa tapped another button. A cheerful email titled, "Oops, we cracked your empire," was transmitted to the Zarketh High Council. The contents included screenshots of intercepted messages, a map of Earth operatives disguised as Galactic exchange students infiltrating Zarketh universities, and a full breakdown of their command chain labeled weak points and places to poke. Attached was a GIF of a human toddler smearing jelly on a priceless Zarketh tactical chart. It looped endlessly. Within minutes, the bridge's central screen lit up with an emergency broadcast from Zarketh Prime. Supreme Regent Tlorth, Vux himself, hunched and wrinkled in his imperial slime cradle, appeared mid-hyperventilation. "Cease this mockery at once. You will face Galactic Tribunal." Tessa leaned forward, deadpan. "You tried to colonize Earth with a recycled PowerPoint invasion plan. You're lucky we didn't send our middle schoolers." Tlorth Vux wheezed. "You dare defy—" "Buddy," she interrupted, "I already renamed your flagship to SS Try Again. Your ships now beep in Earth standard." "We put your entire battle doctrine through a meme generator and fed the results into your defense grid. Your entire empire is currently being countered by 4 interns and an unpaid AI that lives in my watch." She raised her arm, and the holographic face of the AI flickered to life. It wore glasses and a grin. "Greetings, Supreme Regent," it said cheerily. "Would you like a summary of the failures in your military doctrine, or just a free download of today's humiliation compilation?" Tlorth Vux screamed and terminated the feed. The bridge sat in silence for a moment, broken only by the sound of Tessa slurping a drink pouch labeled Emergency Espresso, Tactical Strength. "So," she said, glancing around, "anyone here still think invading Earth was a good idea?" No one moved. Even the glowing tentacle sculpture above. Her dimmed slightly as if ashamed. Suddenly, a priority signal crackled through. The Zarketh High Council had agreed to immediate ceasefire talks, and, in an unintentional stroke of brilliance or possibly a clerical error, they requested Tessa herself be their negotiation liaison. Admiral Vex's voice returned, amused. "Congratulations, Lieutenant Commander. You've been promoted to Earth's official ambassador of tactical snark." Tessa raised an eyebrow. "Do I get hazard pay for galactic diplomacy?" "You get a plaque, and possibly therapy." Tessa grinned. "Deal." She stood, stretched, and nodded to the few remaining conscious Zarketh officers. "Pack your shame in your robes. We're going to a summit, and I call shotgun on the peace table." The diplomatic summit was held aboard the USS Peacemaker, but also Missiles, Earth's official interstellar negotiation vessel, affectionately known among human crews as the Flying Middle Finger. It hovered in neutral orbit, a gleaming behemoth of red, white, blue armor plating, peace symbols painted ironically beside retractable railguns the size of freight trains. Inside, beneath a holographic banner that read, "Welcome to the Humiliation Conference," Lieutenant CMDR Tessa Briggs strolled into the central negotiation chamber wearing her scorched seal armor, aviators, and a half-eaten protein bar clenched between her teeth like a cigar. The Zarketh delegation stood frozen on the far side of the conference table, visibly trembling in their ceremonial slime robes, as Commander Glarnix, the Zarketh's most senior diplomat/intimidator, rose. His 6 eye stalks narrowed. He was tall, wrapped in shimmering capes, and radiated that particular brand of aristocratic arrogance only achieved by failing upward for 3 centuries. "Human representative," Glarnix said through a translator that somehow made everything sound like it was being read from a disappointed scroll. "You are in violation of all tenets of galactic diplomacy. You have mocked our empire, destabilized our fleet, and replaced our command anthem with... He paused, visibly straining to say it. "Never gonna give you up." Tessa dropped into the nearest chair with a thud and replied, "While unwrapping a burrito, diplomatic victory through cultural exports." "You're welcome." Glarnix's mouth flaps trembled with rage. "We demand restitution, a return of our command tendrils, and..." "Nope," Tessa said, mouth full. "The tendrils have been ethically rehomed. One's a bookmark now. Other. 2 are starring in a buddy cop sitcom on EarthNet. Smash hit." She gestured to a screen, which briefly flickered to an ad for Tentacle Justice. "One's by the book, one's just a tendril." A long silence followed. Tessa took a slow sip of her tactical espresso while staring down the table, radiating the exact energy of someone who'd just hacked your bank account while solving a crossword. Glarnix inhaled like a punctured accordion. "Then we propose..." "Peace. Smart move," Tessa replied, producing a pre-written treaty from her satchel. It was printed in Comic Sans, signed already by Admiral Vex, and sprinkled with glitter. The Zarkeths recoiled like it was toxic. "You mock us again," Glarnix hissed. "Of course," Tessa grinned. "It's called a sense of humor. You know that thing your species genetically suppressed around the same time you outlawed dancing?" Glarnix's left eye twitched. "But," she continued, flipping the treaty to page 2, "the alternative is war. And you already lost that to one seal with a multi-tool and a caffeine addiction." Just as Glarnix began to groan his reluctant agreement, the chamber lights flickered red. A new transmission hijacked the room's holo feed, static, snarling, then a sneering reptilian face cloaked in shadows. "This galactic farce ends now," boomed a new voice, deep and moist. "We are the Axel Horde. Your surrender is unacceptable. You will all kneel before the true Dominion." Tessa raised one eyebrow as the projection zoomed out to reveal dozens of massive cloaked dreadnoughts appearing in orbit. "Oh, wow," she muttered. "Who invited the Sith knockoffs in bathrobes?" The Zarketh delegation panicked, sliming themselves into chairs and muttering ceremonial surrender phrases. Glarnix shrieked, "They will annihilate us all. Their ships are invisible to all known scans. Their weapons bypass..." Yeah, Tessa waved dismissively. "I read the briefing. Bunch of show-offs with anger issues and cloaking tech that works like wet paper when exposed to Earth-level passive aggression. She tapped her wrist. The Peacemaker's AI chimed politely. Nanite payloads uploaded into Axel dreadnoughts via their own encrypted channel. Estimated total fleet shutdown in 3, 2. Across the viewport, the terrifying dreadnoughts began listing, spinning, and self-crashing into one another like confused space whales at a mosh pit. Explosions rippled silently in space while glitchy Axel transmissions broadcast error codes and desperate cries of, "Who is Tammy the Destroyer?" Tessa casually sipped her drink. That'd be our intern. She weaponized emojis and taught, "Your ship's empathy. Hope your firewalls enjoyed poetry." The Zarkeths were frozen. Glarnix collapsed backward into his slime throne with a wet squelch. Tessa stood, dusted burrito crumbs from her armor, and slapped the treaty on the table. "Now, you were saying, peace." The Zarketh delegation signed instantly. One tried to autograph it with his own tears. Tessa accepted the document with a smirk, pulled out a Sharpie, and autographed it herself with a flourish, and the words, "Victory via snack break." The room was silent except for the soft hum of the Peacemaker's systems and the distant sobbing of alien pride. Tessa looked up. Deadpan. Guess who just got promoted again? The promotion came in the form of a holographic banner that blinked into existence above the diplomatic chamber. Congratulations, Tessa Briggs, Earth's galactic envoy of unrelenting payback, temporary. Tessa squinted at it, muttered, "Classy," and stuffed the treaty into a folder labeled, "Reasons the Universe Regrets Poking Earth." She hadn't even left the room when EarthNet exploded with live streams of the Axel Horde's public meltdown. Their mighty dreadnoughts, now helpless, were being slowly converted by nanite logic into giant orbiting apology letters. One even spelled "my bad" in glowing plasma across a planetary skyline. Somewhere, Tammy the Destroyer, Earth's unpaid 22-year-old cryptography intern, was trending as a war goddess. The Zarkeths, now spiritually broken and physically flaccid, attempted to stand with what was left of their dignity. Glarnix, still leaking from multiple emotional vents, cleared his throat. "We will begin implementing cultural surrender adjustments. Effective immediately, Zarketh etiquette now includes ritual sarcastic retorts and the use of memes in official communication." Tessa nodded approvingly. "Progress." But just as the Peacemaker's systems began resetting from red alert to smug normal, the ship lurched violently, an unauthorized wormhole tearing open beside them. The chamber's walls flickered as emergency shields activated. A single ship emerged, matte black and geometrically impossible. No insignia, no broadcast, just a humming silence that made every alien in the room instinctively whimper. "Oh, come on," Tessa muttered, gripping the edge of the table as the lights dimmed. "Is there a discount villain sale going on today?" The humans in orbit didn't recognize the ship, but Earth's AI, sassy and ever vigilant, did. "Unregistered threat confirmed," it chirped. "Designated identity, entity Omega Null. Classification, void class spoilsport. Advisory, consider leaving the room, through an explosion." The ship's transmission finally cut in, a cold whisper speaking in quantum-stretched syllables. "You have disturbed the balance. Earth's noise has spread. The multiverse notices. We are here to silence it." Tessa rolled her neck until it popped. "Wow, you even sound like a Reddit moderator." She didn't wait. She hit her wrist comm. "Vex, we got a void-class grump here, requesting permission to preemptively ruin." "It's day." Admiral Vex's face appeared, as calm as if she were watching a weather update. "Granted. Try to leave something for research this time. The last one you vaporized set off 3-time paradoxes and a minor musical episode in Brussels." "No promises." Tessa stood, cracking her knuckles, then turned to the remaining Zarkeths and pointed at the glowing monstrosity outside. "You see that thing? That's what really happens when you leave Earth out of the galactic loop too long. We get weird." She marched out of the chamber toward the weapons bay while her AI queued up the Peacemaker's entire stealth arsenal. Engaging passive-aggressive torpedo matrix, it chirped, deploying unsolicited advice bombs. As Entity Omega Null unleashed a blast of entropic energy, the Peacemaker countered with a barrage of weaponized irony, fusion packets wrapped. In Earth's most incomprehensible memes, logic paradoxes written in middle school sarcasm, and emotional minds coded with passive-aggressive motherly guilt. The ship twitched, then stopped, then began melting into its own cloaking field, imploding inward with the slow, resigned sound of someone realizing they've lost an argument on the internet. Tessa stood on the command deck, arms crossed, sipping lukewarm coffee as Entity Omega Null blinked out of existence with a final wheeze. Your culture is incoherent. That's what makes it lethal, she said. Silence fell across the stars. Then, applause. Actual applause from the Zarkeths on board. Galactic sobbed into a towel. One of the other aliens approached, kneeling and holding up a shaky tentacle. Teach us sarcasm. Tessa gave a lopsided grin. We start with Earth cinema. There's this masterpiece called Die Hard. Weeks later, the Galactic Council reconvened to ratify the new accord, penned entirely by Earth and unofficially titled the Don't Poke the Bear Agreement. It featured clauses like, never underestimate caffeine-based life forms, memes are a cultural weapon, and if the SEAL named Briggs shows up, surrender immediately and offer snacks. The Zarketh Dominion rebranded themselves as a sarcastocracy, appointing Glarnix as their minister of humor and strategic humiliation. The Axel Horde filed a formal ceasefire and an application to audit Earth comedy schools. And Entity, Omega Null. Its remains were used to create a new Earth beverage called Void Roast, marketed as the only coffee blend strong enough to end a multiversal war. As for Tessa Briggs, she returned to Earth for exactly 3 days before vanishing. On another mission, rumors said she was last seen heading toward a distress signal in the Vale sector, carrying a duffel bag, a burrito, and a portable espresso unit duct-taped to a plasma grenade. Her last known transmission? If anyone touches my coffee, I nuke. A moon. Galactic peace held, for now. But the stars never forgot the lesson. If you poke Earth, you'd better be ready to get roasted, literally.